Hi, my name is Bill Campbell. I'm the Executive Director for Forma, the Network for Christian Formation. I'm here as part of the Good Book Club with our partners in ministry, Missional Voices, to talk about Luke chapters 22 through 24. So here we are. We're in the midst of Holy Week. I hope all my friends and colleagues out there who are working in churches right now are getting enough rest, have enough support. I continue to say prayers that copier machines continue to work, that coffee machines continue to work, and that you're finding some time in the midst of this week to pray and to contemplate the meaning of this Triduum. For those of you who are watching who don't work in parishes, I also hope that you're finding your way to a faith community and you're engaging in all of the services of Holy Week. It's not just Palm Sunday and Easter Sunday. There's so much to do and so much richness in every single day of Holy Week. And I hope you'll find your way to a Maundy, Thursday service, a Good Friday service, and certainly an Easter Vigil. My good friend and mentor, Lisa Campbell at Virginia Seminary, likes to say that Holy Week is the only curriculum we really need for discipleship. Everything is there. As we go through this week, I also hope those of you who are working in churches remember that too, that even if everything you're trying to do were to fall apart, if every copier machine were to stop working, Jesus will rise, the tomb will be empty, and our faith will continue to strengthen. At least that is our prayer. Our reading this week is a fascinating one. It's one that should seem so familiar. We've heard this story a lot. It's the Easter story, the Christmas story, and Moses and Noah. I mean, these you should really know these if you really want to get an A in being a Christian disciple. You know, maybe you also know the Pentecost story very well. This story, there should be no surprises in it, and yet, as I was reading it, there were so many little instances of places where I was surprised. It reminded me of this exercise that I did in college once. A professor was talking about the classics and the need to reread some of the classics that we grew up with because so many of the pieces of the plot that we thought we knew by heart, we maybe missed important pieces or we remembered incorrectly. And an example, a small example that he did was he asked someone to get up and hand him a watch off of their wrist. And this student handed over his watch, and he had the watch for years and worn it almost every day for several years. And when he described the watch, he described it very poorly. He wasn't able to remember the fine details of it. Just because we've sat with a story for a long time doesn't mean that we always remember every fine detail. What were the little details of the Luke story of the Passion that stood out to you, that surprised you? The line where Jesus commends them to sell their clothes for swords definitely stood out for me. I don't remember that as part of my Luke reading in the past. I'm thankful to have these small little moments to remind me that this exercise that we're engaged in, this rereading of the text, is always worthwhile. That there's always a good reason to pick up the Bible and read it again and re-immerse yourself in these stories. So, for those of you following along on social media, comment. What are the pieces of the story that surprised you? What are the things that stood out to you that you don't remember seeing in there before, or things that you thought were supposed to be there that weren't there? So often our memories of these come from the other gospel narratives, and sometimes we think it's in one and it really is in another. So what were the things that stood out to you, that surprised you in the reading? And then finally, my prayer for all of us is that we experience this Holy Week and that we come out of it resurrected with Christ, that our faith is deepened, and that we are girded for the Easter journey so that we can complete this Luke Acts reading. This is the end of Luke. So you will begin Acts starting next week. Blessings to y'all. Have a wonderful and blessed and holy Triduum, and have a blessed Easter.